After months of research and working on this project, it's finally complete! This is what I believe the story of Five Nights at Freddy's is. A story of one broken man, William Afton. From what we learned in the FNaF novel The Silver Eyes, William is a strange man. He's awkward and shy when he's around the teenagers. Charlie, the main character, immediately points him out in her head as the kind of guy who's always picked last or left out of things. He's seemingly a lonely guy. And from what we know, his best and possibly only friend is a guy named Henry. They ended up opening Fredbear's Family Diner together as business partners in the 70s. More on William, we find that he had lived alone. In one of the rooms of his houses were boxes full of mechanical parts, a spring-lock suit, and journals, which were full of passages about his partner Henry. William's feelings ranged anywhere from near worship to wild jealousy towards Henry. So what do we know about Henry? For this theory I went with Scott Cawthon's advice, and I won't be using the book to solve anything. The book will only be used to fill in the blanks that do not contradict anything in the games, like for instance, Purple Guy's name and personality. As for Henry, the book tells us that he had a family, and that's all that we really need to know about him. The specifics of his family won't be any help to us for solving the game's story. So why was William raving about how much he adored Henry? This was probably because Henry was his only friend, the only person that we know that cared about him. And the wild jealousy is probably over the fact that Henry had a family that loved him and William was alone. Just so you understand me clearly, the Henry that I'm talking about here is not the same Henry as in the book. The name Henry is just a placeholder for another character in the games who has a similar job, the guy who made the animatronics. Fredbear's Family Diner is not a topic covered too well in the games. We still don't know much about the place. The only image we have of it is Stage 01. In other words, the first stage. There stands two golden animatronic characters, Spring Bonnie and Fredbear, entertaining the children. Even though this doesn't really matter, William is most likely the entertainer inside of Bonnie. I mean, just look at that smile! Deeper into this minigame, we see that at some point, the child in the middle is missing. The diner was eventually closed down. The missing child and/or children were probably cause of this. Somewhere in the 1980s, the business renewed itself as Freddys Pizza. Henry and William are no longer owners, but they are important parts of the company. They also hired a guy to work as security, and later trained new employees. We know him as Phone Guy. With the name change and a brand new location came a new start and lots of happy customers. This restaurant picked up much more speed than the last and even got itself a cartoon called Fredbear and Friends, where it showcased its animatronic characters that included Freddy the Bear, Bonnie the Bunny, Chica the Chicken, Foxy the Pirate, and Fredbear. Spring Bonnie never made the cut, and the suit was left at the empty and abandoned Fredbear's Family Diner, possibly for being a suit tied to the kidnappings and/or safety hazards. All was not well at this restaurant, though, because of our purple guy, William. Let's take a moment to discuss why William kills the kids in the first place. The explanation lies in the books and in his personality. William is a lonely guy who lives his life happily through Bonnie. One of the most important things we could take from the book, in my opinion, is what William says. He doesn't speak much until he wears Bonnie, and then he willingly explains that he only wanted to love, and the kids are now home with him in the pizzeria. What he says makes it clear. William wanted to be loved. He wanted a family. When he wears Bonnie, all the children love him. He doesn't want that love to ever be taken away, so he kills the children to keep them at Freddy's with him forever, so that he doesn't have to be alone. It's tragic, really. The first child he murdered here wasn't hidden inside of a suit. He killed the kid just outside of the restaurant, as we can see here. We know this location is the first Freddy's because of Freddy himself and his two buttons like the withered version. This kid wasn't just another random innocent victim, though. This little girl was actually one of Henry's children. He had 3 before the murder, a daughter around the age of 7, a son around the age of 9, and another son who was around the age of 3. Keep in mind, these ages are just estimates. It's very possible that William decided to kill someone that Henry loved during one of his flares of jealousy towards him, seeing as how this is exactly what happened in the book. After his daughter was killed, it's possible that his wife left him and his 2 boys behind. Eventually, 5 more children were killed and their bodies were hidden inside of the animatronics. During this, the spirit who was killed outside woke the other spirits up and they began possessing their suits. Not long after the murders, the animatronic characters became noticeably vile to the customers, and the owners were threatened to have the place shut down. Before any police could be contacted, the restaurant immediately shut down and was left to rot. It's likely William returned at some point to remove the bodies in fear of being caught. After this, around 1985, another Freddy Fazbear's location was opened. It was a smaller version than the previous, and only housed 2 full-time animatronics. These were a newly redesigned Fredbear and Spring Bonnie Springlock animatronics. They sometimes also had a Spring Bonnie or Fredbear entertainer that walked around. This location was very close to Henry's home, and his family that consisted of Henry and his 2 children. Henry wasn't the best of parents though, as he was often working and couldn't keep a close eye on his kids. During this time without his knowledge, his oldest son was beginning to bully his younger son about being afraid of the animatronics. Although this was not the case. This child was actually only afraid of Fredbear. Having spent a large portion of his life at the previous location, the child loved the animatronics. He considered all of them to be his friends. That is, until the day he saw Fredbear do something unspeakable. Fredbear killed a child. Fredbear was no longer a cute yellow bear who loved pizza and parties. Now he was a man in a costume, pretending to be something he wasn't. The child was terrified ever since, and even tried to get rid of his Fredbear plushie, but it didn't work. The Fredbear plushie was now housing the vengeful spirit of the child he saw die, the spirit that later possesses Golden Freddy, also known as Michael. After a short while, another location was made that returned with the original animatronic band, Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Fredbear. Foxy, on the other hand, was put out of service due to being glitchy and too scary for kids, and a new version of him was made, named Funtime Foxy. There was also 2 brand new characters named Balloon Boy and the Marionette. We know that this location was opened and only included these characters by looking at the children's drawings in FNaF 2. The papers all say, "My day at the new Freddy Fazbear's Pizza." These drawings do not contain the toy animatronics, or Foxy. They only include Funtime Foxy being taken apart, the puppet, Balloon Boy, pre-withered Chica, Freddy, Bonnie, and Golden Freddy. This tells us that the pre-withered animatronics were in a new location along with 2 of the newer characters. Henry also began fixing up the old characters to be more advanced, but things went downhill fast when the customers complained for the second time about the stench of the old animatronics. At this time, it was decided that those animatronics were basically unusable and the location closes. Meanwhile, at the only up-and-running Freddy's, the crying child is still tormented day by day by his mean older brother. Not only is he bullied by his brother, he's also tormented by his Fredbear plushie. Fredbear is not at all what he seems like when you first play the game. At first, he appears to be on the child's side, giving him advice and telling him there's always tomorrow. But if you look again, things begin to seem more suspicious. The first thing you may notice is that the child never calls him his friend, but he does say that about the other plushies. Another thing is that white eyes have never been associated with good or kind characters. They've always appeared on antagonists, Purple Guy, the haunted animatronics, the bullies, etc. What the plushie says is even more significant, saying hurtful and isolating words such as, "He hates you," "He left without you," "He knows that you hate it here." It even gets in the child's mind and tells him what to do. The spirit uses whatever means he can to boss him around or scare him, by yelling and even reminding him of the murder he witnessed. It's aiding in the growth of fear and anxiety in a young child, even so far as to fabricate lies about shadows on the wall and making him panic about getting away. Spirits have been nothing but dangerous in this series, so why would he be any different? The children who were killed by William are vengeful and won't let anything get in their way. Now into early 1987, the location opens for the second time. The unusable classic animatronics were stored away in the back room. The new animatronics there included the new model Fredbear, Spring Bonnie, Balloon Boy, another animatronic resembling Balloon Boy that didn't sell balloons named JJ, the puppet, and Mangle. As soon as this location reopened, it became apparent that training tapes would be needed for Springlock suits. Phone Guy got on the job and made a few tapes, 2 of which can be heard in FNaF 3.
Hello. Welcome to your new career as a performer/entertainer for Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. These tapes will provide you with much-needed information on how to handle/climb into/climb out of mascot costumes. Right now, we have 2 specially designed suits that double as both animatronic and suit. So please pay close attention while learning how to operate these suits, as accidents/injury/death/irreparable and grotesque maimings can occur. First, we will discuss how to operate the mascots when they are in animatronic form. For ease of operation, the animatronics are set to turn and walk towards sound cues. This is an easy and hands-free approach to to making sure the animatronics stay where the children are for maximum entertainment / crowd-pleasing value. To change the animatronics to suit mode, insert and turn firmly the hand crank provided by the manufacturer. Turning the crank will recoil and compress the animatronic parts around the sides of the suit, providing room to climb inside. Please make sure the spring locks are fastened tight to ensure the animatronic devices remain fixed. We will cover this in more detail in tomorrow's session. Remember to smile. You are the face of Freddys Pizza. Hello. For today's lesson, we will be continuing our training on proper suit handling techniques. When using an animatronic as a suit, please ensure that the animatronic parts are tightly compressed and fastened by the spring locks located around the inside of the suit. It may take a few moments to position your head and torso between these parts in a manner where you can move and speak. Try not to nudge or press against any of the spring locks inside the suit. Do not touch the spring locks at any time. Do not breathe on the spring locks, as moisture may loosen them and cause them to break loose. In the case that the spring locks come loose while you are wearing a suit, please try to maneuver away from populated areas before bleeding out, as to not ruin the customer experience. As always, if there is ever an emergency, please go to the designated safe room. Every location is built with one extra room that is not included in the digital map layouts programmed into the animatronics or security suits. This room is hidden to customers, invisible to animatronics, and is always off camera. As always, remember to smile. You are the face of Freddys Pizza.
Back at the sister location, things for our protagonist from FNaF 4 have taken a turn for the worse. One day he sees a strange-looking little girl, one with incredible green eyes. This was his sister. Notice the area she's standing in, directly outside of Freddy's. The same general area she was when she died at the other location. Now, I know she doesn't look like a ghost, but neither does Fredbear, and we know he's a ghost because his freaking head appears on flowers. But why doesn't he recognize her then? Easy. His sister was killed when he was only about 3 years old. Remember what she says to him? "You'd better watch out. I hear they come to life at night, and if you die, they hide your body and never tell anyone. Why do you look so worried? See you at the party." Now, it doesn't seem likely that this ordinary little girl would know something like this, considering it's a fact. Also, take a look at her text color. It's a very similar color to Puppet's face. Honestly, I didn't want to believe that this girl was a ghost at first. But in the end, her being the ghost that possesses the puppet was the option that made the most sense. I'm sorry to say, but I have to cut it here for now. There are many more parts of this theory in the making. The entire theory itself is finished, but making the video is a long process. I hope you guys will check out the other parts as they come out, but keep in mind this theory was made before Sister Location was released. This means that whatever we learn in Sister Location may completely destroy this theory. Even if it does, I'll still be releasing the theory in full, so no worries there. Also, I would love it if you guys could go check out this channel. It's run by this really awesome guy who also put a ton of work into this video. He's the one who did most of the really good editing, by the way. He doesn't have any videos yet, but he will soon. Also, I just want to give a little shout out to DJ Sturf, a really nice guy with a fun YouTube channel. You can check it out here. He's the one who put together this little chart of text colors from FNaF 4. And as a little reminder, I will be live streaming Sister Location tomorrow as soon as Scott releases it. Hype, my friends! See you then!